name is Thor.
I
He was
just
a Chihuahua Yorkie mix.
the stream just went live. I've been playing Pokemon Go a lot the past few days, and I have a Jolteon named Odin's Son, and another one named Jane Foster. They are my puppy rabbit children.
People still play Pokemon Go?
They did a lot to make it not suck. They did a lot to make it suck, and then they undid all of the things they did to make it suck and added more features. It's a good pastime. Anyways, though, welcome to the Ilderon Tales. This is Group A, the Sky of Wolves. We have a, what I'm going to say, full party tonight, as the other members are pretty much unreliable to be here and are all going to be moved to NPCs, and we'll be
They did.
yeah. We might be recruiting new people. I don't know. I'll talk to them in the future. When we last left off Group A, you guys were given your mission by Elena, and you guys were planning out your timetables of where you needed to go and what you were planning to do. And Malik decided to use the 6 days you have to hunt down some old enemies. Those enemies being the Twilight Fang. He found out that the guard captain of Gwir is easily bribed, and went to do business with her, and discovered that the Twilight Fang has had dealings inside of Gwir, specifically shipping things through the port and buying the guard captain's silence with very fancy exotic art. Malik, Soulmane, and Roak managed to convince the drunken guard captain to send a letter to the Twilight Fang requesting a meeting. And Malik also told them that they were staying in the not the Magnate's Falcon, the Morning Falcon, which is not the place you guys are staying at, by the way. Then after that, the party got into a pretty large discussion and agreed to help Soulmane with a quest he had picked up from an older foreign merchant. There is some sort of magical artifact inside of Gwir that shouldn't be here, that people are studying, and the merchant asks Soulmane to retrieve it in exchange for a massive discount he gave Soulmane on an item. And in order to retrieve the item from the Sage's Tower, Soulmane, Roak, and Malik went to scale the tower, found the sage atop the tower studying the stars, and got into a kerscuffle with him. The Malik fell off the top of the tower. The sage grabbed him, and Malik tried to climb up the sage, and the sage fell, dropping both Malik and the sage 100 feet down to what seemed like their doom. The sage was not conscious after he fell. Malik hobbled away, and Roak tended to his wounds. On the other side of the party, Elsie was pretty sad about her crush going and having tea with another woman, and drunk herself into a stupor. She met some people at the inn she was staying at, and the innkeeper carried her up to her room when she could no longer form words or sentences. And after being missing from the party for so long, Soulmane, tasked by Malik, decided to go check on her. And Ilarius, the scribe, pointed him in the right direction. When he got there, he found her door locked, and was trying to sneak in before somebody in the hallway caught him. The stranger said they planted an item on Elsie because of how she looks and her title of nobility. Nobody would shake her down, and that they plan on retrieving the item when Elsie leaves the city. As Elsie told them, she was going... oh man, I forgot the place she said, but I do remember it being south. And they informed Soulmane that if the item's not there, he's going to be in trouble with a lot of people. And she turned to leave Soulmane, and then Soulmane stabbed her in the back with the rapier. She caught the blow just in time before it was fatal, and that's where we're going to pick up.
Remember, she did get the sneak attack damage.
Yeah, remember the 17 necrotic. And it was 14 sneak attack damage, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. Alright. So, inside of this hallway, you're going to hear her, and we're just going to do this as cinematic combat. You're going to hear her groan and then call for her companion. She's going to call out and say, Scary, get in here, we got a rowdy one. You're going to see another head peep in to the hallway from the door she exited from. Go ahead and roll me initiative. Woo! Look at that nat 20. Alright.
Walketh toward me, brother.
Alright, so Soulmane has definitely won the mess out of initiative. She is squared off against Soulmane, blocking the hallway from this second figure. You can take the first round of combat.
This is the second person?
There are two people in the hallway now.
Yeah, this is the one she called out, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Did I show you the first one?
You had it, so that's what she looks like?
Yes.
She gonna beat the shit out of you with that flower.
Alright. How long does this last? About how long has it been since this whole kerfuffle started?
Literally picking up from last session.
Well, I know, but I mean, like, since the argument, since I shot out my necrotic shroud.
It was about 3 minutes of discussion back and forth with you. She agreed to leave, and then you stabbed her. And this is picking up immediately after you starting combat with her.
So I'm gonna say probably right after I stabbed her, the shroud would fade because it lasts for about a minute.
Okay.
This is where things are gonna get interesting. She's gonna notice that Soulmane is looking around and seeing that she's hurt now. The hell happened to you?
That's his play?
This is not a play.
Alright, roll me a persuasion
Remember
check.
what we discussed about him and his background?
No, I don't. Not entirely.
He doesn't know about it.
Alright, I'm gonna roll you a percentage die on there. She is going to make an attack roll at Soulmane, and she specifically brings a knuckle to his wrist, attacking his weapon. You can roll a contested athletics check or acrobatics check. It is a disarming strike. She's going to beat your check to move out of the way. She knocks your rapier out of your hand, and brings a fist in front of your face and says, "You happen to me."
I honestly don't know what you're talking about. We were discussing you leaving my friend alone. And I turned around and then this.
Looking really confused as to what's going on here, she's going to kick the rapier back. She's going to kick the rapier back to her companion, and man, I'm going to roll her a percentage die of if she's going to lower her fist and say, "Just know you made 2 enemies today."
Be that as it may, as I told you, I'm just here to check on my friend. I have no quarrel with you. You were mentioning something that you gave her, though. What is it?
She shakes her head and says something that's going to draw a lot of attention if you pull it out. As you guys are sitting in here in the hallway with the standoff, her with her fist to your face, her friend picking up your rapier, you're going to hear a shuffling behind the door as the knob starts moving.
Alright. I would suggest putting your fist down, unless it looks less like an aggressive action right now.
Not only is the knob moving, so is the rest of the door. She's going to put her fist down and says, "Your friend's drunk out of her mind," but nobody's been inside the room.
And that's what I wanted to discuss with you now. If you gave her something, and she was intoxicated as you say she is, she doesn't know she has it, doesn't know where to meet you, and for some reason wakes up sober, finds it, pulls it out, and then there's an issue, how do you think that's going to go over?
She's gonna nod and say, "We're keeping an eye on her."
Well, I'll tell you this, she's not as reliable as you think she is. Soulmane's gonna tip his hat and just change his form into a random human. I can move around without being anyone and being everyone at the same time. It might be more beneficial if you gave it to me.
She's gonna look back at her companion, who will shrug, and
I do request my weapon back, though.
yeah, and she's going to point and say 15% cut.
$20, and I don't let anyone know you're here. Not even my compatriots.
Roll me a persuasion check on that. She's going to shake your hand, and her companion's going to bring your rapier forward and hand it to you and say, "That's a hell of a stab you have there."
That's what happens when you're in my line of work.
And she's going to gesture to her eyes and say, "That thing with your eyes? Magic? Curse?"
What thing?
She brushes a hand forward and says, "Forget about it. I've seen stranger." The door, by the way, Elsie has rolled 2 nat 1s because I'm a professional on this, on unlocking this door.
Soulmane will go over to the door and check on her.
On the other side of the door, you hear what Soulmane believes is saw that ruckus out there. It comes out a little more garbled than that. There is also a few profanities slurred in there too.
Soulmane will head in the room to check on her, guessing seeing her slumped on the floor trying to pull open a door.
Yes, it's a struggle to get the door open as she's kind of leaning on it, trying to get it open. Elsie is very much intoxicated.
Do I need to do a strength check to get in, or...?
No. She's too drunk to hold the door closed. She's not, she's not Hodor.
So I get in the room and I help her back to her bed and tell her, don't worry about the scruffle, someone was just being rowdy in the bar.
The whole time you're in here, the woman you got into a fight with is watching you from the doorway.
He's going to, once Elsie pretty much falls back asleep, he's going to gesture to her to come over so he can get the item. So she can get the item. He's not exactly sure what he's grabbing.
It is very apparent as soon as she enters into the room.
She said if I touch it, it'd be apparent. He doesn't want to blow cover too.
Oh no, she opens Elsie's bag and there is a slight glow. There is a slight blue glow to it. She pulls out a large sphere that has many flat sides on it. Inside there is water moving in it in kind of a circular way, and it is giving off light.
Would you say it's...
Oh yes, to Soulmane, it's near identical to the description he was given by that merchant.
Soulmane just curiously looks over to her. What is this, and who hired you to get it? Think I've earned that much from you?
She's going to hesitate for a moment and say, there's a reason why we don't want to be the ones carrying it. You sure you want to know that?
He looks to her and says, the things I've seen and done, carrying around contraband is probably the least crime I've committed in the last 2 weeks.
She'll scratch her head and say,
he says that to her in Thieves' Cant, by the way, so...
Okay. Yeah, she'll scratch her head, and she's gonna say, you ever hear of the, Archmage, Calgaren, back from the Waking Era? Not the good one, the Shatterer.
Would I have heard of them, or...
Yeah, it is basic history from the world. He's a figure taught about. You can roll me a insight, and I can tell you our history, and I can tell you based on that what
nothing. I know nothing. I'm just not a good student.
Or you can say anything you've read on the wiki is what your character has. Yeah. Calgaren is the name of the first mage who discovered magic. It was prestigious, but it's also the name of his descendant too, who turned into a evil wizard who tried to conquer Cedal. You've heard both of the names, yeah, but that's about all you know about him.
This has something to do with them?
She's going to gesture to it and say, some people think that's a fragment of his soul. There's a couple of them scattered about the world. And she shrugs and says, I don't know how it ended up here, but...
Where did you get it?
She's going to look northwards and say, not that I'm proud of it, but, you know, when a heist is a heist. Stole it from the Sage's Tower earlier this afternoon.
Interesting. Who hired you to get it, or is that classified?
She nods. She shakes her hands though, and says, "Don't worry, don't worry. I wouldn't sell it to any crazy cultists that are going to try and like resummon him or something."
Fair enough. Where am I meeting you?
She's going to gesture eastward and say, well, there's only one gate that leads out of town. When you and your companions leave town tomorrow, we'll be there waiting for you. I don't pay Thalix's crazy tax to do business inside this city, so her and her guards are going to try and shake me down.
Fair enough. Well, I guess we'll see. I'll see you tomorrow then.
All right. Elsie, as you're leaving the room, Elsie starts swearing about Malik in her sleep.
Before I leave, before I shut the door, I'm gonna throw one of my balls from my bag of tricks into the room to keep an eye on her.
Okay. Yeah, the animals from those, I'm pretty sure it specifically states they follow your commands.
Yeah, and they're random. That's why.
Do you want me to roll it? Oh, okay, you rolled it already? I'm pulling out my DMG.
Brown bear. That's not inconspicuous.
Oh, yeah.
He'll be gone by morning.
As Soulmane leaves the tavern, he notices the other woman is completely gone.
Okay. Yeah, I left the bear with an order to stay quiet unless someone tries to enter the room.
Alrighty.
And then I'll head back over to the other tavern. The other inn we're staying at.
Alright, and that was all of the events of that night. It is the next morning, which for you guys is going to be the 12th of Priestess, which I'm recording on your cards.
So, JD, how much of a kick in the balls is that?
What?
Just found out that you falling off the tower was actually completely worthless.
Well, you guys would have found out there were other people after this thing, too. Anyways...
Okay, so I originally put myself to push to talk because there was a screaming baby in the background, but now it has served an additional use for the noise that I made.
Which is probably equivalent to a screaming baby.
I rolled...
It's not dissimilar.
Or no, I didn't roll. I think I had Kaylee roll a perception check that night of trying to figure out what the people were saying or handing her at the top of the night, and she could not make it out. But, yeah, that happened at the very beginning of your guys' whole ordeal.
Yeah, and then next on the bear disappears, Brandon.
Yeah, on the 12th, starting with Roak, he is going to wake up to his two shades. Dryderius is quiet today, and Desmond is hovering over him. And he says, "Oh, good, you're awake, you're awake!" Like, Desmond serves not the one of Dryderius.
Kill me.
And he says, yes, yes, good. The undoing of life should be done because it is perversion.
No. Waking up before dawn is a perversion. Did he die in his sleep?
He, say that one more time for me, Wesley?
I wonder if he died in his sleep. Probably. Broken ribs.
Desmond nods vigorously and says, yes, yes, Desmond's guidance for giving death will be much more loose than the strict Dryderius. If not dead, you can give it to him freely.
No. He's just gonna sort of get up and hobble over to Malik's room to see if he died in his sleep.
Malik is not dead. Malik would be waking up normally, terribly sore.
Upon waking and remembering that it hurts to move, Malik is not going to move.
That's a great way to start the day. Soulmane is back at the inn with you guys too. And Elsie is gonna roll herself 2 checks. She's not gonna know where to find you guys, but yes, Elsie is up and moving also.
I'm gonna tell the scribe to head over to the other tavern and make sure she knows where we are. Keep her somewhat out of trouble.
Alright.
Keep her low profile. Do you want her going around causing an issue in the middle of the town right now?
I honestly don't care.
It is the early morning of Priestess. There are screams in the distance. It is also starting to snow heavily.
We can hear the screams.
You guys can.
It's just Malik's internal monologue. Exactly.
Soulmane's gonna look at Malik. So what did you do with the extra baggage from last night?
Oh, well, I figured, you know, in my broken and shattered state, probably carrying along 150 pounds of dead old person probably would benefit me.
Well, I think they might have found the 150 pounds you left somewhere.
Malik will pause for a second and look at Soulmane with this look that says, "You've got to be kidding me," and then says, "I'd like you to take for a moment, just look at me, Soulmane,
Hold on.
and ask me whether or not I actually care."
If it's any consolation, and Soulmane pulls the orb out of his bag, with the door closed, obviously. Seems like I got my prize out of it.
Malik's going to blink for a couple of seconds before he curses wildly at Soulmane. Not at Soulmane, just in general.
Yeah.
In his direction.
Well, he'll get one curse out before he remembers, oh yeah, breathing also hurts.
Yeah, there might have been a hiccup, and I only tell you this because it's kind of funny to me. Apparently this was stolen from the Sage's Tower before we even got there yesterday.
Excuse me.
See, the bird finds it funny.
Hilarious is going to walk up and look at it.
You write that down, and I swear to God, I will cut your throat, woman.
She is not writing, she's inspecting it. She is going to gesture towards it and say, "Wow, what is it?"
From what I was told, potentially the soul of the part of the soul of the shattered one.
Soulmane.
Do you let her hold it?
Oh God, no! I don't let anyone touch it. The sheer fact that I'm touching it is worrying me at the moment.
It doesn't seem to have any effect on you.
It's worrisome that I'm holding this, and if it is what I was told it is, that nothing's happening. So I'm not letting anyone touch this thing right now.
Oh, by the way, Brendan.
Yes.
That medicine check was to administer a drink that would kind of make, I guess it's a pain relief.
A sedative.
Not a sedative, just like some pain relief, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
As
you're mixing stuff from your herbalist kit, Desmond is hovering over your shoulder, hissing at you, clearly instructing you to put things that are poisonous in there.
Break my concentration.
Yeah.
But for the most part, with Roak's constant attention, Malik can move around decently without murdering himself.
I'm not. To be honest, it's not him. I'm worried about him murdering right now. That's why Soulmane's kind of staying as far back against the wall as he can at the moment.
Malik begins to point at Soulmane before he remembers, oh yeah, moving hurts. Then Malik looks at the cup being preferred to him and says, "You could prop me up a little bit? It's kind of difficult to drink flat on my back."
Okay, I'm gonna go grab my staff and start like wedging him up.
Ow, 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 ow!
Drink.
Malik drinks, reels at the horrific taste, and then looks at the Soulmane and says, "I hope it was worth me falling off of 100 feet of tower."
I don't know.
Because if it's not, the next time you propose scratch my back, I scratch yours, I'm going to scratch it with several torture instruments.
Well, to be fair, we both got what we wanted out of yesterday. Ideally, you know, with differing levels of success and everything, but it seemed like it was a success out of it. But now the question remains, what to do with this?
How did you come by this artifact?
Malik's girlfriend here went to the bar across the street, got herself so incredibly drunk.
Elsie's not there, by the way. Hilarious has not left to go grab her.
Solomon just kind of looks over to Hilarious, still standing in the room at the moment.
Her eyes are transfixed on the orb and says, "That's just so interesting."
Solomon puts the orb back in his bag.
What are you saying?
She looks a little sad.
Anyways, Malik's girlfriend got herself completely shit-faced, and someone approached her while she was intoxicated, tried to convince her to run a job for them since she looks like a royal. She is. And carry an item out of town where no one would suspect them or suspect her to have it. I went over there while I was checking on her, got caught by one of them, managed to convince them to give me the orb since I can look like anyone, and since I actually know the situation going on, I'm not going to be out in the middle of the town going, "Ooh, what's this thing?"
So, they're going to be looking for this then?
They're waiting for us at the end, or at the gates outside of town for when we leave.
Well, we're not leaving today.
Well, with him the way he is, I don't think we're leaving for a couple of days.
No. I wouldn't recommend it.
So, that begs the question. What do we do about those two waiting?
They cause trouble? I think that's an obvious answer. It's an obvious question. They have to come to us.
And as I said, as he tips his hat, just change it into another random looking human that would look like walking around town. I can be anyone I want to be.
That's nice, but so you're saying you'll just go kill them then for us, or what?
I'm not sure of their numbers. I know of at least two. And I know one of them is skilled. The other one seems to be able to travel at least fairly quickly to the point where she's able to get by me.
Do they know? Wait, do they know you have companions?
They know I have companions, especially considering
So you told them.
I told them who or what they looked like or where we were.
But they could have followed you back here.
I surmise it's possible.
You just went across the street, didn't you?
True.
So it's quite possible they could know that you came back here and where we are.
Well,
No?
I said, well, if that's the case, then we might be getting an early lunch today, Rourke.
There is a knock on your guys' door, by the way.
Solman hops up next to the door, holding his hand on his blade.
Wait,
Gestures to Hilarious to open it.
don't open the door. He's going to ask the spirit to peek outside the door and see who it is.
You
Malik
ask.
raises an arm and points towards the door. If you open the door, just know that I can reduce this whole building to ash.
What is with you two? Calm down.
You ask Desmond.
Yes.
Um,
I'm just saying, if we need it.
Desmond is going to move from Roak, and most of the time these things always hover just right over his shoulder. Very quickly, it's going to move through the door and then back through, and it's going to say, "A weak one, deserving death from you."
Male or female?
Let's see, Barton. It is a female.
There's a female outside the door.
Both of the both the people I was dealing with yesterday were women, so.
What color were their hair?
Desmond interrupts Roak and says, "Let the Shattered shoot his beam. Let him deal the death."
What color? You were doing so well. Then you opened your mouth.
The ones I dealt with, one was a darkish browner hair, and the other one was blonde.
So which one was outside?
How the hell am I supposed to know? I can't see.
I wasn't asking you.
For what you can tell from this thing's smoky, insubstantial shape, Roak feels sadness from it for the first time. After a long second, it's going to respond, "Desmond was never graced with the ability to see that of the beautiful."
Well, I don't know what color hair she had, but it is a female.
For fuck's sakes, scribe, open the door.
Alarius is going to...
Slightly.
Alarius is going to creep towards the door and peep her head out and start having a conversation. She turns back and looks into the room and says, "It's the innkeeper. He said there's someone here to see us downstairs."
Who?
She has a conversation and then turns back to you and says, 3 women. They look pretty beat up. They're... Wow. She turns back and says, "They're, from, across the street." And she scratches her head and says, "I think it's better if we just go down there and hear it from Elsie herself."
Elsie's with them. Jesus fucking Christ. Soulmane's gonna tip his hat and just look like a random pedestrian and take Hilarious since she's the most imposing looking one of the group, just to scope out the situation.
Alright.
Why don't you can go down there. I'm staying up with my patient.
Yes, keep the cripple in bed.
I'm about as crippled as this inn will be if you keep on talking about me like that.
Alrighty.
You did get us into this mess.
Yes, and I'm prepared to take responsibility for that. Malik, I want to have a discussion with you after this.
Sure. Will it be the next tower you plan to throw me off of?
Depends on, well, where your venture leads us.
Mine hopefully ends with us standing over the burning bodies of several vampires.
I said we'll discuss this after. Thank you.
Try to burn any and all vampires you come into contact with.
Alright, so
Soulmane... I can give you.
Soulmane walking downstairs?
Yeah, he's gonna scope out to see if it's the women from last night.
Okay, so there are, on the first floor, there are 2 private dining areas and 5 different rooms. And then there is the large dining area that makes up the main lobby. Sitting at a table for 4 people, Soulmane is going to recognize a passed out Effie and the 2 women from last night. Additionally, he's also going to know they are incredibly tattered, and Elsie has a myriad of burn of her clothes are burned. She has a couple burn wounds on her, and they are covered in soot.
For fuck's sakes. Did Hilarious come down with him?
Yes.
Go get the fucking bird.
She's going to run back upstairs, and before she does, she's gonna move to speak, and then she's gonna turn and run back upstairs to Roak.
Soulmane's gonna walk towards behind them, not looking like he's exactly with them, and Thieves can't call out or say over to him what the hell happened.
As you say that, she's going to turn and Kieran's going to turn and look at you and say, somebody attacked the inn last night, or rather early in the morning, set the whole place on fire, killed nearly a half dozen people, and left like it was nothing. She shakes her head and says, "No, but since your friend was there, I pulled her from the fires, and we got out of there as soon as we could. I didn't want to lead them back over here in case they were after the orb."
Follow me with her. Don't make it conspicuous. I'm gonna head up first.
It's hard not to, as Skari looks pretty much traumatized, and she's like running her hands through her hair and saying, "Who would do that? Just kill all those random people." Yeah.
He's gonna. This is the first time Soulmane's actually like looked directly at him and addressed it. In the line of work you're dealing with, death is a common thing. I'm gonna head upstairs, wait 2 minutes, and then follow up.
Alright.
Soulmane's gonna walk away and head upstairs.
Ilarius is going to get there before Soulmane, and she's going to pull on Roak and say, "Elsie's downstairs. She needs help."
Malik, don't go anywhere.
Malik just gestures to himself. And then goes, "Oh."
I figured the gesture was going to be single-handed. Well, single-fingered.
Yeah, you ever heard that thing about being nice to your doctor? Those are wise words.
Ilarius and Roak
there's
get...
another saying called hurt people hurt people. I'm very hurt.
Ilarius and Roak are going to get out the door into the staircase, headed downstairs, and as they do, they're going to run into a disguised Soulmane walking back upstairs.
He's just going to walk by him like he doesn't know them and say, they're going to bring her up to the room.
Who are you?
He knows who. You should know. Didn't he see me I did it in the room. I transformed. He's probably hurts.
Well, Roak was probably having an argument with Desmond, so...
Fair enough. Don't worry about it, or just wait till they get up to the room.
Excuse me.
And he just keeps walking by.
Who the fuck are you to call me bird?
A few steps later, as you guys are still on the stairwell, the 2 ladies with Elsie slung over their shoulders are walking up the stairwell with her.
Soulmane heads into the room. Right.
I'm going. So we've got how many injured people do we have here?
The two women look like they've taken some damage, but they are well enough to move. And Elsie is unconscious.
And as a shattered one, she's that's been some hell of a fire.
What happened here? How
They
did this?
Yeah, they shake their heads and say, "We told your friend somebody attacked the inn this morning, set the whole place on fire, without care for who was inside." And they were inside the flames too, killing people running to the door.
Bring your injured parties this way. We'll get you taken care of.
They step into your guys' room and see Malik lying down on the bed. And
pointing with a fireball prepped at one fingertip.
okay,
Soulmate, well, if someone had walked in, he would have said, "You're gonna have some bunk mates, or have a bunk mate."
I don't know about you, but I'm in the kind of state where I'm exempt from having bunkmates.
Well,
Make way, wounded.
count this as a triage center right now.
What is a triage center?
Alright, so I'm going to just double check, make sure this is the right one. Real quick. Because I haven't memorized 5th edition spells yet. Yay! Okay, okay, yeah, this is definitely it. I'm going to have them all set kind of in the middle of the room, and I'm going to cast Prayer of Healing, which, Lord, please. I can roll that.
Okay.
Just making sure my modifier is. Okay. So that's 2 plus this. So that's 6. Everybody gets 6 hit points back.
Okay. You're gonna see some of Elsie's burn wounds mend themselves, and you're gonna see her. Are you gonna hear her start coughing a little bit as she comes to?
The window to our room, is it like facing the other side where the other tavern was?
No, it is not. Otherwise, you guys would have saw it on fire when people were screaming.
Well, technically, we would have. If it was just across the street and the whole building was burning down, we would have heard and smelled and all kinds of stuff.
Well, we heard the screaming.
Yeah, it's not across the street. It is across the town square.
Okay, yeah, okay. That makes a lot more sense.
So
it is relatively close to you guys, but not just like right there.
So let me get this straight. Someone just came into the tavern you two were staying at last night, or this morning, set the place on fire and just started murdering people?
Skari is going to nod, and she's going to point to Nykirin and say, Nykirin was staying on the first floor, keeping a lookout, and I was on the second floor, watching your friend. If she hadn't noticed that guy was down there at the door, we would have ran right into him, but we grabbed your friend and jumped out of the window.
What did he look like?
Nykirin is going to shake her head and say, he had to be a Terra. He was enjoying it too much. Each death. There was a small bit of ecstasy to it.
Hey. Normal people can enjoy blood and gore just as much as Terra can.
How long ago did this happen?
Well, we heard the screaming when we woke up.
I didn't ask you.
She's going to say, maybe 5 a.m., 4 a.m., just before sunrise.
Damn.
We have AM and PM?
In the early morning before sunrise. There you go. Just check your sundial. Come on.
Malik looks at his wrist-mounted sundial.
Actually,
So indoors.
there is a clockwork magical item in the Xanathar's Guide to Everything for time telling. So I will look at how
Is
that.
there?
Yeah, it is a common magical item. The rule for all of Xanathar's magical items were would make interesting items that essentially did nothing to change the game.
Oh, right. Real quick, I'm gonna be hopping off shortly, but I will be back on, I will be with you in spirit, and also back on in Discord once I'm in the car.
Before you go, real quick, she's going to describe the person's appearance to you.
Oh, I've already put together that it's probably either a servant of or one of the vampires that I told to meet us there.
Yes! There you go.
Yeah, no, I kind of figured that might happen. I said, if I tell them to meet them there, what are the odds they're just going to burn down the building that I tell them to meet me at?
Yeah, and that's why I was kind of super worried for Elsie. And that's why I rolled a check this morning of just like, does Elsie get out of there?
Okay, so don't relay this back to Kaylee, but honestly, should have done it. Like, nothing against her, but, I mean, make bad decisions, like, split up the party, and, well,
Do you relay?
at that point can't be held accountable for what happens to your character.
Yeah.
However, there is something we said about killing characters when their players aren't here.
Yes, but also, how many sessions has she missed consecutively now?
Hey! We'll have this conversation off stream.
Oh yeah, we are.
Yeah. But anyways, as far as information, Soulmane can conjecture. Okay. Soulmane can conjecture that this was something to do related with the person you guys said to meet you there, as Malik did inform you that they were somewhat dangerous.
Soulmane's gonna look over at Malik. I guess they got your message.
Quite. Anyway, yeah, so...
I guess this can lead to my conversation I wanted to have with you a little sooner.
Go ahead.
How attached are you to our mission with the other one?
I'm gonna level with you. I don't care much about anything except for getting revenge. If it doesn't involve dead vampires, I'm not too terribly emotionally attached, let's say. That also happens to explain a little bit about why Elsie was not with us.
Well, considering that I'm just hired gun and you're actually holding my payment right now, I have no objection.
You're not just a hired gun. You're the guy who got me thrown off a tower. You're also probably a good friend. In the making.
Well, if it makes you feel better, these are the two that took it.
Hi, I'm Malik. I got thrown off of a tower for the thing that you apparently effortlessly stole.
Nikirin is gonna scratch her head and say, it wasn't effortless. We had to fool the sage. And,
yes,
well,
yes.
he
Sure,
might have
right,
killed him
okay,
yet
okay,
today, so
yes.
we'll go with
But
that.
also, did you get thrown off of a tower? Ow.
She's going to say no and gesture northwards and say, but somebody did try to murder all of us last night.
Well, to be fair, that might not have been because of the orb. That might have been because of, well, us.
Fun story. So I told a group of vampires, or Terrai, to meet us over at that place because I was planning on killing them once they arrived. Maybe possibly burning down the inn in the process because, as previously stated, I don't care much for collateral damage. Like the collateral damage dealt to my lungs last night. But anyway, so I told them to meet us there, and, well, then they apparently decided to burn the place down. That's what I'm going to go with anyway.
You know, for someone who should save oxygen, you sure do bitch about that a lot.
Look, it hurts to talk, but people need to know what happened.
And since you're now here and you now know the situation, I think our deal might have to change a little bit.
Welcome to the group. My name is Malik, the undisputed leader of this adventuring party.
The undisputed dead weight of our party.
Dead weight, yes.
Nykirin is going to walk over to the bed and lay a hand on
Oh God,
Malik's
please don't touch me.
shoulder and say, "Not dead yet." She says, "Nykirin, I lost 2 members of my crew in that fire."
Well, my bad, I guess.
My bad, I guess. She's going to nod and look towards Soulmane and say, "We'll find another way to get the orb out of the city, but I am going to need it back."
Well, to put it simply, this orb is staying with me until the situation is resolved, and the vampire that tried to kill her and killed some of your friends and everyone else is taken care of. Also, question. My friend there in the glasses, when she saw it, she was almost in a trance. What's the situation with that?
She looks at Alarius. Alarius is going to look down, and she's gonna roll an insight against Alarius, and after just like a silent second of inspecting her, the woman's gonna shrug and say, "I've never seen her before in my life."
I wouldn't think you did see her before in your life. My question is, why did it look like the orb she was transfixed on? Does it have some kind of property that it attracts people?
Oh.
She shakes her head and says, "No, but when you're holding a fragment of the soul of a dark demigod, it carries with it superstitions."
Fair enough.
As you guys are talking, Skari is going to dash towards Soulmane's bag for the orb. Soulmane can roll me a dexterity save to get out of the way, or an acrobatics check. She is going to beat you with a nat 20. I was seeing if you got a 20 also. She's going to dash towards the bag, grabbing the orb, and query.
Malik would like to cast Hold Person.
Okay, it is 6 seconds to cast that spell. She is going to hold it up in the air, and Nykirin is going to scream, "No!" And she is going to say, go ahead and...
Yeah, I have a reaction now or no?
You can. Her words are a free action, and I did already roll her check for that hold person.
I'm going to take out my sword and stab. but to make her lose concentration.
Okay. She holds up the orb and says, I wish Anston and Risserel were alive. The light inside of it is going to fade. And she is going to fail the whole person check. And, you are also going to stab her profusely. You can roll damage.
If she's paralyzed, that's an automatic critical hit there.
Yeah.
Which would give me advantage, which would give me...
Yep. Sneak attack damage.
And if it's a critical, that means...
Sneak attack damage.
Yeah, roll a second sneak attack.
You're about to murder this woman.
Apparently, and I did not actually intend to. So it's another D8 as well.
Well, as I understand it, you can withhold sneak attack if you so choose.
Let's add that up.
20...
21, 33, 40, 41 points of damage.
Yeah.
Alright. You are going to deal a, you're going to stab her through the chest with your, rapier. She falls over, paralyzed. Nykirin, dashes, to her side and says, "You fool!" And, she looks at the, rest of you and says, "Can we just avoid any more bloodshed this morning?"
What did she do?
There is a dark cloud, swirling in the room that is, dissipating, northwards. She looks at the orb and says, "It's rumored that the spirit of Calgaren will grant one wish to anybody who holds that orb."
Soulmane picks up the orb and puts it back in his bag.
So
what happens when he grants the wish?
She is going to roll a history check and say, "I don't know."
Is she still alive?
She is... Yes, she is still alive. She is very bloodied. Yeah, Roak's going to be able to, tend to the, tend to the wound.
He's not tending to her, he's just checking to see if she's alive or
Oh,
not.
yeah, she is alive.
He's just on a sitting chair nearby.
Your friend here is going to get herself killed by doing shit like that.
Likely already did.
You're lucky Malik decided to be nice and blowing her up.
Yeah, let us look at something. Yeah, as she's sitting over, the woman on the floor, she's, going to look back to you guys and say, "I'm just gonna take her and leave. I don't care who you sell that thing to now. I'm getting out of this town." Oh, this is, okay, I'm sorry about that. I was looking in Xanathar's guide, and I'm just like, where the F is this stupid spell?
Before she picks her up, Soulmane is going to kneel down and use his healing hands to give her 7 back. Try to close up some of the wound.
Okay. You are able to heal her. She is... with that healing, she will go above half and the bleeding stops.
Soulmane looks over.
Or no, she will not go above half because she was already just above half before Roak healed her. So you brought her. You cast Prayer of Healing when they walked into the room.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, every bit helps. Go ahead.
Soulmane's gonna look at her and go, "Look, this situation has now gotten you involved. If your friend just got her wish granted because of this thing, that means your companions that she wished back is alive, correct?"
She shakes her head and says, "It's a rumor we heard. I don't even know if it works. For all I know, she just set a dark spirit out into the world."
Okay, so then I think it's more beneficial to stay together because this thing is now knows who she is, and if she got her wish granted, strong possibility it might be linked to her. Dark magic works weird, evil with that.
When you say that, she's going to look around the room and say, "Alright, a truce between both of our factions."
Fair enough.
Alarius is going to speak up and say, "I've heard of the rumor before."
Soulmane's gonna just crack his head over at her, daggers at her. You were gonna try to have a wish granted as well, weren't you?
She shakes her head and says, No, I heard of the other rumors of what follows that thing."
And what follows it?
She looks around the room and says, "A trickster god who keeps the soul caged."
Malik, release your spell on her. I want to see if she's still there.
That's oddly convenient timing, considering I just connected now.
I purposely waited till I heard the ding of you logging back in.
Does Malik drop the hold person? Alright. Well, it only lasts for a minute anyway, so it's about to let up. She is breathing, still conscious, incredibly hurt.
Can she talk? Can she move?
Yeah, she can. She's going to sit up and say, I'm sorry, Nye, but I don't know what I'd do without them."
Next time you come at me like that, I won't be so hesitant to stop my attacks.
She shakes her head and says, if you killed me, then I'd just see them on the bridge." Kieran is... Oh, go ahead.
If the rumors are true, you won't see him on the bridge, you're gonna see him there.
Yeah, Kieran's gonna hold up the orb, which is now completely dim. And Skari's going to look at it and say, "Sorry, I just had to know."
Malik, you feel up to walking? Stretch out your bones.
Now, I may not be a doctor, but I don't think stretching bones is the thing to do. But I can walk, yes.
Well, your options are to lay here in this bed with the unconscious love interest who probably will want to kill you right now, or suck it up and come with us to investigate what the hell just happened.
Malik sighs, goes, ow, and then says, alright.
Soulman looks over at the scribe. Stay with... If she wakes up, keep her here.
And while we're gone, don't forget, draw something funny on her face.
Ilarius is going to look to Elsie and nod and dip her quill into her ink and move to Elsie's hand.
Good job. There's an extra golden for it.
Soulman looks over at Rorik. Well, Doc, do you think he's well enough to be moving around, at least enough to investigate?
No.
I stand up and every bone in my body goes...
My next question, do you really care?
I do.
As Roak is talking, Desmond is going to say, "Two souls returned from the land of dead to living? No, no, no. Other way."
Your friends are back. Your wish was granted, apparently.
Brock, we're gonna have a talk about you talking to yourself and then having weird premonitions later.
I'm not talking to myself.
Like I said, later, more pressing matters.
There's nothing to talk about.
Alright, do you guys head out to the Rune Tavern?
Yes, but at half speed, so I don't have to pull anything.
Okay. You guys are going to get to the Morning Falcon. There is a crowd around it. Majority of the building is burned to the ground. Is smoldering and sending smoke into the air. Just probably an hour ago, these flames, the remnants of the flames were put out.
Question.
Yes.
If I hand Malik my walking stick, will that help him move fast? Will that help him move along?
Malik does not have a speed problem. I let him choose his injury, and he went with vulnerability to bludgeoning. That is, Malik's chest is the only thing hurting him right now.
Oh.
Yes, but I imagine that you'll also pull something fast.
Yeah, I mean, if Malik wants to take his time and, you know, be cautious, that is definitely within his rights.
Well, he'll offer the old staff anyway.
It is much appreciated, as broken bones don't heal that quickly, even with magical healing.
Yeah. Yeah, Malik is all types of sore, so it is everything is in order as far as, you know, what Malik is feeling. But when you guys get to the remains of the Morning Falcon, there is a crowd gathered around it. A couple of people covered in soot, much like Nikiran and Skari, who seem to survive the ordeal. However, there is a even larger crowd around a completely nude male. He wouldn't be nude anymore. He'd be wearing a cloak. However, it looks like he is wearing nothing underneath the cloak. It doesn't appear he has a scratch on him. Skari is going to is going to run up to him and say, "Hey, Anston!"
I told you.
Okay, it's good she identified him because I was about to double fireball his ass.
As he looks at Skari running towards him, she nearly tackles him to the ground, and he seems he stumbles backwards, but he seems perfectly fine and good health. And he says, I don't know what happened. I was waiting for our orders in the morning, and that man stepped in. Roseril and I confronted him, and he just moved so quickly. I died. And then I just got up out of the wreckage.
Soulmate is going to look to the other girl and go, well, doesn't look too bad for a cadaver.
She is going to look completely surprised at this. And say, by the gods?
You go for the orb and you're next.
The orb, by the way, is still dim.
He had an entire building, a burning building, fall on top of him, and he looks better than I do.
Soulmate with a smirk on his face just looks back at Malik. And to be fair, in perfect health, he probably looks better than you do.
Malik takes on a look of scorn, the likes of which Soulmate has not seen.
Oh, this is going to be enjoyable for the longest of times.
So what are we doing, or do you gay lovers have more making out to do?
Do you have gay in your culture?
Why do you care?
That's just a fascinating concept thing.
I'd actually be interested in hearing your thoughts on that.
Fuck both of you.
Nykiran is going to gesture to...
Bird boy.
What was that?
Time and a place. Doctor.
He takes his staff back.
Oh, right. Time and a place, Doctor, Lord of Death, Prince of Evil.
Next time you fall off a tower, you're on your fucking own.
Alright, enough of the chit-chat. We should probably see what the hell's going on. Because I don't like the fact that, one, the orb is still dim, and two, it seemed to have actually worked.
Well, if it did contain a soul, it's probably not a difficult conjecture to make that the soul may be inhabiting one of the bodies now. After all, we've only seen one, and there were supposed to be 2 dead.
That is scarily a very valid point.
Malik will shout to the other one insofar as Malik can shout at all. Hey, wasn't there supposed to be 2?
Anston is, who's been surrounded by people, is going to say, they said there was another who rose, but, he left upon, digging himself out of the, rubble.
Soulmate says, well, there we have it.
I was about to say the same thing, man. Kieran, what does this other person look like? Shouldn't be too hard to find a naked person running around the city, but...
So, about that, would it be possible for me to take flight and kind of get a bird's eye view of the situation? See if there's anybody naked walking down the street?
Yeah, Roak can fly and give a perception check. Nykirin is going to describe the other person and say, Raseril is my brother, and he looks very similar to me. Tall, blonde hair, tattoos along his back.
I don't suppose a 12 gets me much anything, does it?
Yeah, Gwir is a very populated town, but it is also snowing too, so your vision is kind of obscured.
Oh, he's
Probably
gonna go up.
nothing on either.
He's gonna go up and like circle like for 5 minutes, and then come back down.
Okay.
There's
Malik will assist Soulmane in what I assume he's about to roll is an investigation check.
See if I can make any clues out of this. I'm gonna search to see if I can find any trail or anything. Might tell us where he might have gone or which direction.
Investigation of 13. Just asking around here. The people who were who are watching the fire and the others who are trying to put it out are going to inform. They're going to inform Soulmane that the person who rose before Anston got out of the rubble and went screaming northwards before calming down as the crowd tried to comfort him, and he went northwest.
Alright, he's gonna go over to the one that just risen and the girl and go, I got a direction he went. Let's go.
Anston, who is completely in the nude, or rather not completely in the nude, is going to say, I'm very capable with a spear. Perhaps you guys have some armor or equipment you could lend me?
Armor up before we left.
I don't think you guys did. As far as
Okay, well, since I can only imagine the horrors that equipping a full plate would wreak on Malik's body in the state that it's currently in, Malik will stick with his shield +1 cloak and ring, and will let the other guy wear his full plate.
Okay.
If he fits.
Yeah, as you guys are taking time donning it here, Skari is going to say, Anston, you just got back. You can't think of working now. He's going to shake his head and say, no, if there's something that needs to be done, I'm with you guys.
I don't have
I like this guy. I give him my flail.
Nykirin is going to look back to the rest of the party and say, Raseril was our infiltrator. If he's trying to lay low, he's probably good at it. She's gonna look towards Soulmane's bag where the orb's being held and say, still, I don't know what that thing's capable of.
Soulmane, as they're starting to move, he wants to pull the other dude off to the side where no one is for a second.
Mm-hmm.
With Nykirin and or else with the group, basically.
Okay.
There's something I want to test, but I can't do this in the open, obviously. So we need to go somewhere private real quick.
In this town square, there isn't much of a place, but there are plenty of alleys. That's
what I was thinking.
Yeah, all around this area.
Alright, so we go to an alley that's kind of secluded off.
Okay, I'm going to put you guys in one just south of the Grand Market.
Okay.
Real quick, Brandon, I'm about to get on 85. You coming up?
No, you don't have to stop here. If I go, I'll have my mom's car.
Alright, sounds good.
Soulmane's gonna pull out the orb and just hold it towards, I can't even remember his name for the life of me.
Anston.
Anston. Should be easy, it's like Anston the Wise, but he's gonna hold it up to him, see if there's any reaction.
There is not. As far as you know, this is just a giant fancy gemstone.
Either he's not the conduit if the soul did escape, or B, once he's out, there's no reaction from this thing afterwards. But it was a test I needed to make. Alright, I was told he headed northwest.
Yes. You guys...
Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, do you guys want to search down the Grand Market? Is the area directly northwest? The Sage's Tower is also northwest, and the City Gate is northwest too.
Sage's Tower, that's awesome. Yeah, well, that's where we'd have to go. Correct. Think you can take to this guy and try to find, or take another look? Now that you might have a better description, he's I guess looks like her. The tattoos on his back.
I can try, there's a lot of snow.
See what you can do.
Oh, fuck me.
Woo! Alright. Roak flying north over the Grand Market is going to be inspecting people just left and right. And his eyes are going to fall on somebody who is really underdressed for this weather, with golden blonde hair, arguing with a merchant. That person seems to fit the description of, you know, somebody recently resurrected and and Nikiran's description.
Okay. This is some distance ahead, I'm imagining, right?
Some distance below.
I mean, I've had to fly ahead. Like, significant distance.
Yes. Not a probably about 200 yards or so.
Okay. So I'm gonna establish a geosynchronous orbit around this guy in the air, and I'm going to use I'm going to kind of shoot off. It's like a cantrip. I guess thaumaturgy could do this. I'm gonna it's gonna shoot off a flare-like burst of energy.
All right. We would have been watching him, I'm guessing, if he's that close, so correct?
Yeah, you guys can see Roak vaguely through the snow, flying in circles and giving off a bit of light. Roak, watching this guy, is going to see him trade for a new pair of clothes before he starts moving eastward in the market.
Okay. I'm going to maintain... I'm going to maintain kind of a flight pattern over him.
I think we got someone. Let's go.
Alright, you guys trying to catch up to where Roak is. You're going to, looking through the crowd, I guess, Roak could land and, you know, give them the description of the man with his new clothes. He has a cloak up over his head.
I don't want to take the eyes off of him. But he's going to fly high up to where he can be seen from a distance.
Okay.
But he's gonna keep his eye on him.
Roak follows this man until he meets with another merchant. It seems he gets into a second argument.
Like, these guys need to hurry if they're wanting to catch this guy.
Okay. Yeah, we're still pushing through, following where Roak is in the sky.
Yeah, Roak has paused. There is a market square in front of you guys. There are several vendors with carts set up. Soulmane is going to recognize the merchant who gave him the job the other day. Or actually, yeah, the day before. And he is currently arguing with somebody. Roak is flying in circles. This seems to be the person Roak has been circling.
Soulmane is going to approach, acting as, you know, since he got good rapport with the gentleman. My friend, how's things going? Is this gentleman here bothering you?
He's going to look towards Soulmane and say, "Ha, my friend, yes. No, this man is crazy. He's out of his mind."
Excuse me, sir. You're bothering a friend of mine. What seems to be the issue?
As you guys turn the man around, Nykirin and Anston and Skari are going to gasp and say, "Rosero! What? You're alive too!" Rosero is going to be babbling incoherently and saying,
Now let's try double fireball.
okay. He's going to be babbling incoherently and say, "The rest of them! Where have you stashed the rest of them?"
The rest of who?
The man is going to the merchant's going to gesture towards Rosero, who is in his face yelling about these, and say, "I don't know, he just stormed up to me here." He puts a hand on his shoulder and says, "I can spare some bread for the poor, though. Would you like to dine later?" The man, Rosero, knocks his hand off of him and says, "No! Where are the rest of them?" Nykirin is going to step forward and say, "Rosero, calm down."
Soulmane is going to put his hands on Rosero's shoulder and say, "What's your name, friend? We can get you help."
He looks and says, "It's not important till this gets out. Where are the rest of them?" He begins shaking the merchant. Nykirin is going to restrain him. And he's going to roll a opposed grapple check and fail it. As she pulls him off of the merchant's going to look towards Soulmane and say, "Tell me, our business venture, was it profitable for us?"
You could say that, in a way, but I'm going to let you know. Soulmane is just going to look over him over his shoulder. This is the result of it.
He rubs his chin and says, so the thing really can grant wishes. I was going to wish us both rich.
Well, it seems that it can only grant one, and once it does, the soul possessing it possesses the body of someone. In this case, it took on the body of a corpse that was brought back.
He shakes his Reseril, who is restrained under Nikira, and is going to shake his head and says, "No, that thing's not in me. I wouldn't let it."
The rest of them you're looking for, Reseril. Would they happen to look?
Somebody with a halfway decent insight check, make an insight check.
Yeah, I am actually going to insight that.
GM, could you roll one for Malik, please?
I will indeedy do.
Is it necessary?
Although Malik's insight is 0.
Malik's good with people.
Malik sucks with people.
Malik rolled a 4, Roak rolled a 26, and Soulmane rolled an 18. Looking at this man babbling, he seems concerned looking around him. Roak can guesstimate he is probably experiencing some extra-worldly forces that might be causing him distress, but he seems crazy in the same way as Roak, as he just keeps looking over his shoulders and getting shocked.
Which only reinforces the point that you just put forth. Actually...
Yeah, Soulmane... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just seeing if... Oh. I'm gonna see if, that Grave Cleric has something for that, I think. Actually, no, okay. He'll fly down and, kind of just, like, wave a hand in the guy's face to get his attention. It's like, boy! What are they saying?
Desmond is going to speak up before he can answer and say, brothers, unhappy brothers who followed. Reseril's going to look at Roak and say, I don't know, there's so much darkness around me. I want it done.
Breathe.
Roak, you're a cleric, isn't that true?
What's true?
You're a cleric?
In a sense, yes.
Don't you have the ability to banish possession?
Not like this. Boy, how many?
He's going to look and count and say, nearly a dozen? Can you see them?
Would I be able to see them?
Roak cannot see these ones.
But it sounds a lot like...
Yeah, it seems very similar. Desmond can. Desmond already pointed out to Roak that they're there.
And this man's possessed. Or haunted. He sees spirits. Likely followed him back when he was resurrected.
Is this something similar to what you do?
I am similarly afflicted, yes. Told you. I'm not talking to myself.
The merchant is going to chuckle slightly and say, they call it the God Sight. Only those who make a deal with death have vision of those beyond.
Here's the question then. Why was he given this sight if he wasn't the one that made the wish?
Because he died and came back, that's why.
Well, what about the other one? He doesn't seem to be afflicted.
Maybe that's the price.
The merchant is going to say, I had a sister once who traded her eyes. This sight is one that can drive a person mad.
You think?
He's gonna look towards Soulmane and say, but the deal is a deal. Power or no power, I hired you to get the orb.
You did. Now here's the issue. Where is the source of power now?
He shakes his head and says, that's why that's good adventurers like you to track it down and kill it, yes?
No.
Malik groaned. This is gonna be a whole thing, isn't it?
The merchant, shrugs and says, is not my problem. I am man of my word. I keep word.
Yes. Yes, you are.
Hilarious is going to point and scream and say,
Darius is with us.
oh no, she is not. She is
I was about
not.
to say. I thought I
I'm
left
sorry.
her with Elsie.
She's fired.
Soulmane looks over at the other two. Kayla and what's her face? You didn't want the damn thing back anyway, did you?
They shake their heads and say, no, our employer can go to the bridge.
Fair enough. Soulmane steps behind the booth where the merchant is and sets it underneath out of hand, or does it in a way where no one can see him.
Alrighty. As he sets it down, the man is going to slide the door of his cart closed and says, yes, 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 our deal is done and my word is kept.
As is mine.
He says, perhaps for such a finding, I could give you further aid in seeking out this spirit thing you seek.
Well, here's the next question. And he looks to the rest of them with just a genuine honest face. Do any of us really give a shit?
I think the more accurate question is there anything we can really do about it?
Malik gestures to himself.
We know that he's not possessed by it, which was our main concern.
100% honesty, I didn't give a shit before we knew anything.
Never know how saying wouldn't count. It's probably, if there is a thing, it's probably long gone by now.
What about you four? Do you want to go hunting down a spirit of the orb?
All four of them are going to shake their head and And Nikirin, still holding Rosero down, who has been yelling at things you guys cannot see this whole time, is...
Someone getting annoyed with this just walks up, takes the end of the sword and bashes him in the face with it to knock him out.
Alright, I'm gonna roll a Constitution save for him. It takes 2 attempts, but eventually Soulmane is able to get him quiet. Nikirin, looking at the blunt action, is gonna say, I'm just happy to kind of have my brother back.
He's there, it's just... he's got an extra bit to him now.
Dozen. Extra dozen.
If anything, it seems like my friend here is familiar with this, so he might be able to advise him once he's in a more stable mindset. But then again, my friend here probably is not in the most stable mindset himself.
You... I wasn't the one proven a liar just now.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't lied about anything.
Oh, sorry. Wrong.
The test declared that was a lie.
What was that? Sorry, JD, I couldn't hear you.
The test declared that was a lie.
Well, there's... Your brother is being haunted by his admission, 12 different spirits.
Is there any way to cure him of his ailment, though?
No. Not until he dies again.
That's unfortunate.
We'll just see how well he's able to cope. If he can't, then he was resurrected for nothing.
Well, I think our primary objective right now then is... He looks over at the Atticus. No, Ansem. That's it.
Anson, yeah.
Ansem, whatever. That asshole. You feel like getting revenge on the person who, well, killed you?
He nods and says, always. I don't,
Always, this happened before.
he shakes his head and says, no, but I never take death lying down. I charged him as soon as, he started attacking people.
Good, because it seems like that falls into line with what my friend who gave you his armor is gunning for.
Yeah, we can talk in private if you'd like.
The merchant, is, going to clap with excitement and say, so you know soul will seek out other pieces of its soul, leading you to more, and he gestures to the, bin below, that Soulmane placed the orb in. And he says, perhaps another chance to make wish to unwish this, and you not seek it?
If they wish to venture out and try to find things, by all means. But it seems like releasing the wish probably releases part of it, so we don't want to release all of it. But again, that's a they can do on their own.
He laughs and dips his hand into his pocket, coming out with a orange powder on the tips of his fingers. He moves his pointer finger and middle finger to Soulmane's forehead. He rubs the powder across Soulmane's head and says, "Is mark of good fortune where I come from. You very, very wise."
Thank you, my friend. I never did get your name.
He is going to nod and say, "It was one I had never given."
Well, may I ask for it now?
He nods and says, "Where I come from, they call me the Spider, but is Eshes that I like."
Eshes, the spider?
He shakes his head and says, "No, no, no, not the spider. Don't like. Is Eshes is me."
Alright, Brandon, because I know there's like 20 U's in there that I don't know. How do you spell that?
Just like that. No, I'm kidding. It is spelled like that.
Well, not 20, but there is a U. Well, my friend, it's been a pleasure doing business with you. But unfortunately, we must be on our way on our own other matters. I look hopefully to do business with you again soon.
He nods and says, "Yes, yes, yes, business is good. Good day to you, friend. You travel well."
You as well.
There is a mark of red sand across Soulmane's forehead.
Yeah, as soon as he gets out of eyesight of Ashes, he's gonna wipe it off and examine the powder.
Alright, as he wipes it off and looks at what's in his hand, you're not quite sure how it happened, but you are holding a small gemstone.
Well, interesting. He'll just put it in his pocket.
It is purple, by the way, too.
Color of treachery.
So, we have a vague idea of who did this to you.
By the way, as that happens, this is a very noticeable thing the whole party sees. Like, Soulmane wipes this dust off of his head, and from his forehead just falls a stone that Soulmane just catches.
Very serious condition you have there.
Yeah, it is the entire size of your palm.
That's not small.
Yeah, well, it's relatively small that you can put it in a hand box or in your pocket. Large for a gemstone, small for an item.
Yeah.
As you are walking, what was the question you said?
Oh, I'm figuring that they're probably carrying the unconscious guy on their shoulder, or not over their shoulders and shit too.
Yes. Anston is carrying Rosero. Skari is having a conversation, just very lightly with Anston, and out of the four, Nykirin is going to be the only one who notices the stone and say, "What was that? Who was that?"
That was the person who hired me to steal that, or steal the orb. I'm guessing this was the rest of the payment that I wasn't aware of. As far as how and why, that I'm not sure of.
She shrugs and says, "So, we're gonna meet back up with your companion and hunt down the person who did this? He was powerful. He wasn't somebody that we could just simply kill."
Well, if it's as we think it is, Malik, you might want to take the reins on this since you know more about the situation than I do. Oh no. Malik is a Cylon.
Malik has also been afflicted with the same illness as Racerol.
Son of a bitch.
Can you guys not hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, you went bot for a second there.
Yeah, that would probably be because I'm going 80 miles an hour right now.
Don't crash! D&D. Driving in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, that's exactly how they would put it when they pulled me over. Anyway, before Malik talks about the Twilight Circle, he'd like to bring everybody back to the inn that they're staying at. The Lucky Coin?
Yes.
If it's not on fire.
Yes, that one too is on fire.
Everything's on fire.
Yes, but we said it before we left, just to cut them off at the curb.
No one who burns this town down but me.
Oh, hey, Roak.
Yeah?
Give me a free history check.
A free history check. What is my bonus in history? Non-existent, that's what it is. Oh. My. Oh,
Not only is it non-existent, it's negative non-existence. You still rolled really well.
well, I mean, that's all I got.
On an 18, Roak is going to know Eshes is a common name within his culture. Putting that guy somewhere from Northold.
Interesting. He doesn't have enough feathers to have that name. Shames. Alright. Very.
Otherwise, you guys make it back to your inn room perfectly fine.
Put out the fires.
Is he still conscious?
Racerol?
When we get back to the room, is Elsie unconscious still?
Oh, no. Elsie is awake, having a conversation with Ilarius. She does not seem to remember much of anything.
Okay, what did Ilarius draw on her?
Malik can see on the palm of Elsie's hand. It looks to be a very elaborate sketch of a person's face.
I was hoping it drew like a super detailed drawing of someone's face on her face.
Right?
That would actually
Or like a dick butt. Anyway, once they're there, Malik just tells them pretty much everything that we know about the Twilight Circle.
Alright, Nykirin is, going to, is gonna absorb all of this information and, say, if you want to go and attack them, that's all fine and dandy for you guys. Anston standing next to you guys as she gestures and says, "But we're a crew of thieves." And she gestures to Skari and says, "She's an illusionist." He's to the unconscious Rosarl and say, "He's a talker. Anston and I are the only muscles in the group."
Muscle wouldn't help you here anyway. Vampires.
She nods and says, "Would it not be more beneficial to trick them into some place where we can..." She runs her finger across her neck.
Well, that was the initial plan, but then this all happened yesterday or this morning.
We can't hear you, dude.
So they either have an agent in town here, or one of them is here. We need to be ready for that.
Yeah, Malik is going to know from the description that Nykirin gave you earlier. The one that is in town is Birion.
Can I get a hate erection right now?
Yes, Malik can.
You get a hate erection.
I'm joking. I'm mostly joking.
Birion was not the one who killed Dirge, though.
Yeah, I know, but we've run into Birion before and we don't like him.
Yes.
If I can get within a mile of where he is, I can find his exact location.
That shouldn't be too terribly difficult. All we have to do is arrange another meeting with... Oh god, what's your name?
Captain Thalix.
There we go. Captain Phallus. And arrange another meeting with the vampires. This time specifying a place where collateral damage maybe doesn't matter as much.
Sure they'll fall for the same trick twice?
I don't think the meathead will do that again. Soulmane looks over to the,
What's Soulmane? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
JD said something, but I couldn't understand him.
Malik was going to say, perhaps not, but unless you have a better idea, that's the only one I've got.
Well, he looks over at the others. You said you're a group of thieves, correct?
Nykirin nods and says, but I don't do business with Captain Thalix.
I'm not asking you to. As someone who's also in the know of this world, you must have some contacts in town.
She is, gonna nod and say, I know who I need to avoid, when I need to avoid them.
My thought is, how difficult would it be to get a rumor spreading around? If these vampires do business with the town, it's not just with Phalanx. They would need to underhand some of the shadier folks, and I say that with the utmost respect for us, to do some of their work. Would it be so difficult to say that, especially considering this particular one seems to have a personal hatred for Malik and them that he's out looking for him in town. Give him a location where Malik will, and he puts up his hands with air quotes, waiting for him. Set up an ambush that way. Basically, Solmy looks over at Malik. The dead weight is now going to be live bait.
She's going to look to Malik and say, and you're alright with this? Knowing that the last time he just senselessly set the whole building on fire?
Malik will pause before letting his gaze drop to the floor, and he says, consider it kind of the same feeling that he gestures to the girl who used the orb that she felt when I've lost someone and these vampires are responsible for it.
Skari is going to nod and say, if they weren't breathing here before us, I don't think I'd stop until I avenged their deaths. But there had to be at least 24 other people who didn't make it out of that inn. Their families deserve the same vengeance.
Malik nods, and that's what we'll achieve.
Personally, I could give two flying shits about the vengeance part, but I feel that I do owe Malik at least this much for, well, what happened.
Malik gestures to himself.
Mm-hmm. Nykirin is going to pull out her bag and start taking out burnt remnants of her remaining items and unroll a map. As she unrolls it, there's a hole in it that unrolls in several areas. It appears to be a map of Gwir. And she is going to start pointing to areas on the map and say, if we want someplace we can fight in private, I think we could arrange the meeting in Kyrian Bay. It's where Captain Thalix has the least amount of men patrolling. I have a contact that could help set something up there. Any place else, we'd have to pay her inane extortion taxes.
Brandon, I'm almost there, so I'm gonna hop out right now.
Okay.
Private message with the experience points.
Okay.
And a brief summary of what I missed.
Okay, we might be ending here for the night. We may go just a little bit further.
Alright, just fill me in if you do.
Okay.
Alright, catch you guys later.
If we're so worried about collateral, what about that small island floating in the middle of the lake? Or of the bay?
She's gonna point to it on the map and say it's uninhabited. Is that where you guys want to have the meeting?
Secluded. No chance of collateral. No chance of interference. And I don't think we have to worry about paying a service tax for an uninhabited island.
She nods and says, "Oh, all right. I don't like walking into any place without a plan. At least give me and my crew a day to scout it out so we can know the lay of the land. If it's going to be an ambush, we set up.
And I'm going to want it so when he arrives, after he arrives, we need to have, well, your illusionist here. She's not very good at fighting, I'm guessing.
She's gonna look to Skari and say, no, she has her own benefits in a fight. Skari has a satchel on her that she pads and says, I can make more than just illusions.
Well, if you don't feel confident in a fight, because I'm not feeling confident about the scry here either in that respect. Since it's going to be an island and vampires, well, they can't trudge over water from what I understand. He would need to take a boat to get there. Have someone take the boat away, so they'll be secluded and trapped.
Nykirin is going to shake her head and say, as long as Terai are well fed, those weaknesses, they can overpower those weaknesses. It's when it's been some time in between kills that those become major flaws for them.
He just filled right up this morning, didn't he?
She nods, grimacing.
Well, still would be an encumbrance for him to try to escape swimming through the water, so I still think it'd be a wise idea to the boats from the situation.
She nods and says, I have a contact I can ask. I'll make sure it gets set up.
Fair enough.
She looks to her crew and says, you guys have been through a lot. Take the day off. I'll go secure us some new clothes and let you know when we're going to scout the island. Each of them nod. Before she can walk out the door, Anston steps behind her and says, I'm with you. She sighs and leaves with him following.
Correct. As a show of good faith with our new friends here, why don't you heal up the rest of the hole I left in the chest there?
Causes quite a bit of trouble.
The woman is going to hold up her hand and say, no, it's fine. I shouldn't have tried to do what I did, but I can brew something up for myself.
If you're sure.
She nods. Ilarius is going to walk up to Soulmane, kind of holding her two pointer fingers together and looking a little bit ashamed and say, I'm sorry I didn't tell you guys about the orb sooner. I was just kind of hoping we could hang on to it a while. I've never met a god before.
Well, from what I understand, they're pompous, arrogant assholes.
She nods and says, in case he does come looking for it, could I perhaps hold on to the remnants of the orb?
I don't have it.
She's gonna look like flabbergasted at you and say, what?
I originally went to get the orb as part of a deal I had struck with someone in town. And then, Malik turned into a cannonball. And I fulfilled my end of the deal.
And she's gonna look, like, terribly defeated and say, "You gave it away?"
No, I gave it as payment for the part of the deal that was mine to fulfill.
And she's going to just, like, fall back onto Malik's bed and say, "Oh, now we'll never meet one of the Meandeth."
You seem pretty well versed on strange magics and gems and of such.
She nods and says, "I'm an anthropologist. It's what I do."
He's gonna pull out this gemstone from his pocket. The person I gave the orb to, stuck his hand into his pocket, pulled out some sand, rubbed it against my forehead. When I wiped it off, this is what came about it.
She's going to look down, inspecting it, and say, "Can you tell me anything about this man?"
I can tell you his name is Ashes.
She pales for a moment and says, "You met the Meandeth without me?" She dashes out of the room.
Solomon just looks over at Rorak. Is it something I said?
She comes back into the room, peeping her head and say, "Can you tell me where he is?"
We got work to do.
We're kind of in a standstill until we get our motion, until they get their people working. So I tell her the square that we were in.
Alright.
In the little stall.
She is going to leave, heading in that direction. And do you guys feel comfortable with ending there for the night?
Something just... I literally want to end it on this because I think it'll be funny. Did we meet a god?
Can anybody in that room answer the question for you? Or actually, there's only one NPC left with you guys. Skari is gonna have no idea. But your DM is. Yes. He gave you guys his exact name too. So
yeah, that's just the spider.
All right. That was both events I wanted to get to tonight. I only had those two major things planned for you guys. Wasn't expecting you guys to add the thieves to your party. Was expecting you to maybe hire one or two of them. I'm gonna count that as a significant event for tonight because they will probably be infinitely useful in the future. And if you guys decide not to pick up any more players, which I haven't heard from those other guys, and it's leaning towards that now. You guys can have a pretty filled out party, using 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, I gotta talk to them. I don't know.
Then, I'm trying to think of if anything else significant happened. The replan. So I'm gonna say, 4 times 4, 1,600 experience for tonight.
Neato.
So, did I kind of fuck up your plans when I just went straight? The hell are you talking about? I stabbed you.
No. When I saw she rolled a, and I'll talk about this off camera real quick. Your guys' next session's on the 19th. I'll send JD that experience.